should not be addicted to wine in most of our English translations. Not addicted, the responsible drinkers side of the discussion would say, well, see here, an overseer is obviously allowed to be a responsible drinker. They're just not supposed to be a problem drinker. But when we look at that word, not addicted to wine, it's paranonon, which literally means para, close, and oinus, there's our word, wine. That overseers are not supposed to be near wine. So rather than being someone who has a drinking problem, they are somebody perhaps who's not supposed to be near, or the implication would be somebody who's not supposed to be associated with wine. Another verse comes from Ephesians 5:8, so don't be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is. And don't get drunk with wine, which leads to reckless actions, but be filled with the Spirit. Again, the debate on the responsible drinking side would say, well, here we're talking about the church members drinking wine, but not becoming drunk, being responsible drinkers. But if we look at this word here, to be drunk is methusko, and this is an inceptive verb. Now, the Greek language had inceptive verbs, the Latin language had inceptive verbs. The English language really does not have inceptive verbs, so we miss a really big part of the meaning of what's being said here. An inceptive verb shows a process from the very beginning, or the becoming process. In English, we could come close by looking at the word dark. Dark would be a state. Being drunk would be a state. The inceptive would be dark in. So if I tell someone don't go into a dark room, that's different than if I tell them don't go into a darkening room. And so the understanding here as an inceptive verb is do not even begin the process of becoming drunk. So methusko, do not begin the process. Don't even start becoming drunk. And this is really where I should have mentioned the comment by Alcoholics Anonymous, where the guy wrote and said, an alcoholic will be glad to tell you that there's no sobriety if you even take one tiny little sip. And there it is, Alcoholics Anonymous will be glad to explain to you that sober means no alcohol in any amount. And another writer who was Dr. A.C. Ivy, those who drink occasionally have 1 in 9 chance of becoming a heavy drinker or a chronic alcoholic. I'm not sure that statistic is accurate. I've seen it a lot. I've seen some different numbers with it. I've seen 1 in 10. I've seen 1 in 12. But I think there's a lot of really valid, heavy truth here. In my research, I read about a pastor who was a responsible drinker, but he became an alcoholic. Not that he intended to become, but of course his alcoholism became a real devastating factor in his ministry. And fortunately for him, he was able to overcome his problem, but he needed a lot of help. And I would say that if, in fact, there's truth here, whether it's 1 or 9 or 1 in 10 and 1 in 12, being a so-called responsible drinker would be a little bit like playing Russian roulette with a 9-chamber pistol. So I leave that debate in your hands. Just food for thought, food to chew on as we in the church today look at the issue of responsible drinking in the church, or the issue of abstinence within the church family. Just a little bit of food for thought, but recognizing that from 1 Peter, he was using this whole issue to illustrate a larger point, where he was saying, do not drink intoxicating beverages because Satan will drink you down. But of course, he could have meant do not drink till you have a problem. But that's the jumping off point. The Lion and the Big Gulp, and stop calling me Shirley. Shirley, no more moonshine for you is sort of the literal meaning of the text. Shirley, sufferings challenge your faith. Carl, sufferings challenge your faith. This is the specific meaning of the text. Satan is telling you a lie. He's saying when you get persecuted, it's better just to bail out, give up your faith, and things will improve. And surely you will not die is the broader application of the context. It's within the broader application of Satan's one big lie. He disguises it, but he uses it over and over and over again. Listen to me. Be enticed by what I'm asking you to do. You will not die. You will not suffer the consequences. And so I encourage us as we go through this coming week, as we go through the rest of our life, to remember Satan is like a lion. He's prowling around, seeing whom he can devour. And Peter encourages us to stand firm in our faith, knowing that God will be with us, knowing that God will restore us, knowing that God will establish us. And I think Margaret and Kenny have a song to sing for us.
I want to use this song as a response to the sermon. It says, "Today I choose to follow you. Today I choose to give my life to you. Today I choose to hear your voice and live." And it comes from Joshua. He said, "As for me," Joshua, I'm right, aren't I? "As for me and my house, we will serve you. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." That is our prayer this week. We choose to follow God. Go in please. Don't forget to see me afterwards for a envelope.
I just wanted to add one thing about what Carl was saying, the numbers as far as the dangers of taking the first drink. I don't think those numbers are right. I think you have a greater chance than 1 in 9. Back when I was a partier and I wasn't living for the Lord, the people that I ran around with, when I think back on the group that I was with, there's maybe a number of 6, 7, 8 people that I was with a lot. Out of those, that group, there was about 5 of them who became alcoholics. And I mean, you can argue one way or the other, but the danger is, I think, is greater than what people would like to believe.